Conference Championship Week. 4 teams remain, only 2 will move on to the biggest stage of them all. All 4 teams remaining have been on very different paths to get here. All 4 of them have something that makes them special. Starting off in the NFC, you have the Philadelphia Eagles. Over the past half-decade, they've boasted one of the strongest rosters in football. A roster that made it to a Super Bowl only 2 years ago. But in between then and now, have had to put in a lot of effort to avoid crumbling from within. But now they are back, fueled by a great defense and an elite running back, trying to make it back to the Super Bowl, hoping this time to finish the job. On the other side, the Washington Commanders are everyone's favorite underdog this Sunday. A season with 0 expectations has suddenly placed them just 1 step away from a trip to New Orleans. On paper, they might not seem like the best team in the world, but the Commanders week in and week out find ways to win. Fresh off upsetting the number 1 seed in their own building, the Commanders now ride into Philly, hoping to knock off their division rival as a final act of defiance against everyone who still doubts them. Over in the AFC, everyone knows who the Kansas City Chiefs are at this point. Year in, year out, they are always here. Always in the biggest games. Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same, and the biggest playoff boogeyman prepares to once again take the field in an AFC Championship game as the Chiefs continue their quest for an elusive three-peat. They don't always win convincingly, often winning in the ugliest ways imaginable, and yet they just can't ever seem to lose a close game. And for the Buffalo Bills, this is destiny. They've been here before, they know what to expect. Heartbreak after heartbreak in the playoffs has fueled their rage, and they are ready to finally slay the dragon and get back to the promised land for a date with destiny. You know the stakes, you know the pressure, you know that these are the moments that truly matter. As the world tunes in to 2 incredible matchups, only 2 teams will live up to the moment, and 2 others will be forced to end their season just a step away. This is a complete beginner's guide to the conference championships. So if you've been following this channel recently, you know that I'm a Detroit Lions fan. And having to make this video with the Lions now eliminated makes me sad. But I'm here with another beginner's guide at the request of Commanders fans who I guess enjoyed laughing at me over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So shout out to them. I'm kidding, they've been great to deal with. But why don't we kick things off with the NFC Championship. First, looking at the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that early in the season took a few weeks to kind of figure themselves out. But once they did, whew, they were pretty unstoppable, pretty darn hard to beat. On the year, their offense ranks 8th in total yards, despite only being 29th in passing yards. That's thanks to Saquon Barkley's 2,000-yard season, helping to push the Eagles to be the 2nd best rush offense in the league behind the Baltimore Ravens. And they also finished 7th in the league in scoring, averaging 27.2 points per game. Now, in the playoffs, an already mediocre passing game, that might honestly be generous, but in terms of production, a mediocre passing game has been pretty bad outright. Jalen Hurts is averaging under 140 yards passing per game, but it's okay because Saquon's averaging 162 on the ground. Essentially, the offense is staying true to itself in the most extreme way possible. And it's a little odd because the Eagles have all the pieces in place. They have some very good receiving threats in A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, even Saquon himself. They have the best pass protecting offensive line in the league and a very capable quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Is he the best in the world? No, but he's a very good starter. Like, everything is in place. It just hasn't clicked. Now, in the divisional round, you can chalk that up to the snow falling rather heavily, but that doesn't really answer for why it's been so mediocre all season. And the consensus is that in order to win a Super Bowl in a prospective matchup against either the Chiefs or the Bills, the passing game is going to have to take another step for the Eagles. Now, as for Saquon, he is obviously the engine that makes this offense go. He has every desirable trait you could possibly want in a running back. He's got great burst, great agility, great vision, great top-end speed. But what impresses me the most about Saquon is his ability to move laterally while maintaining his speed. Some of the jump cuts he makes are downright disgusting. Even on plays where there's no running lanes, he can make it a big play anyways, just based on his ability to jump cut and create lanes for himself. If you don't surround him on all sides, he's gonna make you pay for it. Now on the other side of the ball, the Eagles also boast one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league. They were number 1 in total yards allowed per game, number 1 in pass defense, and they were still top 10 in run defense. And they are also one of the best at generating turnovers. So simply put, the Eagles are a very, 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 very good team with one thing holding them back from being truly elite. Now on the other side with Washington, it's funny because despite the fact that the Commanders eliminated the Lions a week ago, I don't actually have any resentment towards the Commanders. They just kicked the Lions' ass, and I'm still looking at them like, you go, buddy. Like, you go. Like, I'm cheering for you. I'm rooting for you. Like, after the NFC Championship last year, I hated the Niners. And coming into this year, I circled that Week 17 game being like, you have to beat the Niners. You have to get revenge. But after the game against the Commanders, not really. Like, I don't really hold the same feelings I did. And I think it's more so because I'm more mad at the Lions for the way they played than I am at the Commanders for beating them. But anyways, Washington is a tricky team because they're one of those good at a lot of things, but they're not great at anything, at least in terms of their statistics. Jaden Daniels is obviously a superstar quarterback, but against the Lions, he didn't really have to do that much. He obviously had a few fantastic throws. There was one especially to Dyami Brown that was just pinpoint accuracy. He also had a few great scrambles, a few great plays on 4th downs to move the sticks, but overall, it was not the most challenging game of the year for him. Now, there are a few reasons for that. Obviously, the screen game and underneath game was working great for the Commanders, but the supporting cast as a whole just had a really great game. Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler actually remembered that they are allowed to run the ball effectively, and the other receiving threats like Zach Ertz and Dyami Brown, Terry McLaurin, they all pitched in as well. The offensive line had a fantastic game for them. It was just overall a really solid effort. From an offensive standpoint, the Commanders run no huddle a lot, but they also just run a lot of plays in general. They aren't going to beat you with efficiency. What they're going to do is just run so many plays that eventually they will generate explosives to keep up with their opponents, and even if they don't, they'll just go for it on every single 4th down and win the time of possession battle. Defensively, I mean, the pass defense is solid. I would say, again, it's good, not great. I wouldn't count on 4 interceptions again in this game for obvious reasons, but overall, they're a solid enough group. The one real big red flag is the run defense. Jahmyr Gibbs and the Lions were running all over the Commanders for the first chunk of that game, and they weren't able to contain the Lions until they jumped out to a multi-score lead and the Lions had to abandon the run altogether. But the most obvious path to an Eagles victory is Saquon going off, and the matchup on paper, not good. So the Commanders are going to have to come up with some creative solutions, whether that's running more 5-man fronts, whether that's bringing 8 into the box more often. I don't know, but they're going to have to get creative because if you just try to stand up and play the Eagles run game, you're not going to win. That being said, the Commanders also have the devil magic, where they just figure out ways to win. To hell with reason, they just win. I don't really know how to explain it. It's the same thing that the Chiefs have had going, and while that is, it's possible it runs out, it's also possible it doesn't. As I said last week, and against the Lions, it certainly did not. Commanders fans at this point, I'm pretty sure most of them are just enjoying the ride because, again, there's nothing to play for. It's all house money, so why not kick your feet up and relax, knowing that if you lose, it's not the end of the world? Honestly, I hope they pull this off because they are a really fun team to root for, and I like cheering for teams that aren't in the dance every year. So Washington being the new kid on the block, I hope they win because out of the 4 teams, they're the newest one. Now, as for the AFC, here we go again. Going into the divisional round with the Ravens and Bills game, the narrative was that whoever lost was going to be deemed a choker and whoever won was going to have to go on to beat Kansas City. I'm not saying the Ravens are actually chokers, but there is definitely a subsection of fans that are saying so. But the Bills earned the right to play the Chiefs again. The question remaining is, will they actually finally shed their playoff demons and get over the hump? Now look, I could break down the stats of this matchup, but let's be honest, it wouldn't really make a ton of sense because we all know that Kansas City in the playoffs is a lot different from Kansas City in the regular season. So I think it makes more sense to look at how Buffalo and Kansas City have matched up in the playoffs in recent years. Starting in 2020, the lesser known of the three matchups, because it was the first one and it was the least memorable, this was one where the Bills just didn't have it. The Chiefs kind of ran their show. I think it was the entire second half they were leading by multiple scores, and I think they ended up winning by like 17. It wasn't close. It wasn't that competitive. The next year, though, in 2021 in the divisional round, these teams met in what was probably the best playoff game in recent memory, and also the catalyst for a rule change. So here's a rapid-fire breakdown of the carnage. Bills started the game with a long touchdown drive to go up 7-0. The Chiefs then answered with a drive that was kept alive on multiple big Mahomes runs. Buffalo drove into Kansas City territory, but the drive stalled out and it ended in a punt. After trading punts again, the Chiefs were able to go down the field and take a 14-7 lead, but Buffalo ran a great 2-minute drill to answer and tie the game. The Chiefs then went on to control most of the third quarter, scoring a field goal first to take a 3-point lead, and then a touchdown to extend the lead to 9. Josh Allen then fired an absolute rocket to Gabe Davis for a 75-yard touchdown, Davis' second of the game. The Bills got the ball back with 13 minutes to go, and this is taking too long. Let's just skip to the good part. 2-minute warning, Bills are down 26-21, 4th and 13, absolute gotta have it play. Gabe Davis breaks wide open for his third touchdown of the game. Bills take the lead. Kansas City gets the ball back, and with just over a minute to go, Tyreek Hill goes 64 yards to the house. Chiefs regain the lead. The Bills then drive down to the field again, and with 13 seconds remaining, Allen hits Gabe Davis for his 4th touchdown of the night. Except that was apparently too much time, because despite only having 13 seconds, the Chiefs were able to rattle off 2 quick plays to get into field goal range, and Butker avenged his missed kicks with a dart of a 49-yard field goal to send the game to overtime. Then, as we all know, the Chiefs win the coin toss. Mahomes and the Chiefs go down the field, and he hits Travis Kelce in the corner of the end zone to win the game and send the Bills home and send the Chiefs to another AFC championship. And it was a game that single-handedly caused the playoff overtime rules to be changed because of the way the Bills lost after such a spectacular game. But regardless, the Bills were once again sent home heartbroken. And now fast forward to last year in the divisional round, the difference in this one being the Bills were actually able to host this game, except it didn't end up mattering. And this game, I don't know, it's not talked about as much, mostly because the game script was kind of the opposite of 2021. In 2021, we had the offensive explosion in the fourth quarter leading into overtime. The final 2 minutes were probably the best 2 minutes of playoff football you'll ever see. And last year, the offenses were firing early, but in the fourth quarter, the Chiefs really shut it down. That Spagnuolo defense just got it done, and Buffalo wasn't able to muster up a signature drive to send them over the top. So once again, the Chiefs won, advancing to another AFC championship game, and the Bills went home heartbroken. Look, I know that's not a very analytical breakdown, but I mean, the analytics don't matter in this game. We know this. It's not about who is the better team on paper. It's about, can the Bills shed their demons and get over the hump? That's it. That's the long and short of it. At the end of the day, this game is going to come down to 2 factors. Which team makes fewer mistakes, and can Josh Allen outduel Patrick Mahomes and deliver a signature win in his career? I don't know if it'll happen, but I know the entire football world will be cheering for it because we've had enough of the Chiefs. I'm sorry, if you're a Chiefs fan, I'm sorry. We want someone else to win. But I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, whether you are a fan of one of these 4 teams or a fan of a neutral team and you're just watching the playoff action, hoping for entertainment to win out. Who do you guys think is going to win? And more importantly, who do you want to see win? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so comment down below and let me know. And with that being said, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I have been overwhelmed with the support on the videos lately. The Ben Johnson video got like near 3,000 views and like 60 comments. Ton of support, appreciate it. We also crossed the 100 subscriber mark, which is the first mini milestone in my YouTube journey. I hope there's more to follow, but regardless of how insignificant it may seem to you guys, thank you so much for the support. It does mean a lot to me. So make sure you click like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you loved it, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Cheers.